What's going on, guys? I consider myself a jack of all trades, but my name's Jeff, so welcome back to Jeff of All Trades. Today I have my dad with me, and we're going to go over the Mantis that you've seen on this channel before. Now, what we have on here, by the way, completely cleared. Nothing in the barrel, and I promise my dad is set back further than me, so if I am holding the gun this way, he is not being flagged by the gun. So I want to get all that out in the open there. But we want to go over the Mantis because Mantis has a newer product that we've been playing around with for a while now. For a few years, we've been using the regular Mantis, which you guys have seen on this channel before, where it can track your hand movement, if you're pulling the trigger, pushing, whatever you're doing, and it'll give you accurate, real-time information without actually shooting any bullets, which is a really good benefit of Mantis as a whole. What they have now is called the Torx X. Now the Torx X has a Steiner laser integrated into the Mantis, and it's one of the best lasers on the market. And I wanted to push this over to my dad, and he's used it before, and just kind of let him tell you what he thinks of it.
Yeah, so this is, as he said, the Torx X. The main difference between this and the original Mantis is that the original Mantis doesn't give you any visible identification of where you're aiming. You're aiming through the sights or through the red dot, but you're basically aiming and then looking at the results to tell you how well you did. With this, it has a laser on it, and the laser is going to point exactly where you're aiming. So you're looking at your sights, the red dot, you can see the laser, and then you get the results when you're done, just like the original.
So what I like about that, just to kind of piggyback off of that, is that this isn't used as just the Mantis, which we really like. This can be used as just a regular laser when you're out on the range and you're shooting. You can use just the Steiner laser. You press one of the button pads on it, and it will show the laser for where you're aiming to and everything else, just like a regular laser would. So with this, you're kind of getting the 2-in-1. You're getting the Mantis itself, but you're getting the laser on top of that. Since they partnered with Steiner, it's a really cool opportunity to get your hands on a quality laser and a quality training tool. So what we're gonna do now is open up the box, and we're gonna put this thing on. It takes 2 screws, and it's super, super easy. So let's open up this box and get right into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this opened up and put it onto this Glock 17 here. Now this isn't Glock 17 specific. Anything that has an accessory rail on the bottom, this will work with. So when you open up the box, what you're going to see is the Steiner laser itself. This bar that is typically installed in there, but it's out right now, so we can put it on this Glock 17. And then you're going to have a tool that comes with it, as well as a battery. But the battery is already in here, so let's go ahead and just pull this out. Take this bar and then this tool. And this is the Torx X. So it's essentially just a Steiner laser, but it has the Mantis integration for your training, which is, I think, fantastic to have. These tabs right here, it is ambidextrous. Press it. Once it's on the gun, your laser will come on and stay on. So like I said, this can be used as just a laser when you're shooting, or you can use it for training as well, which I think it helps with that. So first thing we want to do is go ahead and loosen these up. And they got to be pretty loose because this piece needs to go into one of these holes. So if we can focus on that. For now, you can see these 6 holes here, and then there's 6 holes on the other side. That's where this bar is going to go, and what this bar does is it actually locks into your rail, and that's what holds the laser into place, and that's what makes this be able to go onto any gun that has a accessory rail in the front. So if yours is farther back, farther forward, you can make it so when you put this on, it's not too far back or too far forward and make it comfortable for you. So for this specific application, I want this to be, as you can see, this is cut out here for your trigger guard. where it'll actually go around it. And you want that to be pretty close to your trigger finger, because when you're operating the weapon, again, weapon is completely clear, you want to make sure that you can press this button to turn it on while you're shooting or while you're training. You want to make sure that you can press this quickly and put it on. You don't want to put it out here and have to reach for it. So this is where I want mine to be. So I'm going to go ahead and look at that, and what I'm looking for is where this lines up, and it looks like it's going to be towards the second peg. So we're going to go ahead and try that and put that bar on the second peg. See what I'm looking at here is this hole and where it lines up with the locking mount for this accessory rail. So let's go ahead and put that into the second hole here and see if we can't get this to be in a good position to be able to shoot. So I'm going to line that up there in that second hole, and it should line up perfectly in there. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down a little bit, not all the way obviously, because you still need to put it onto the weapon, but just enough to hold everything in place, and then we can always loosen it again if we need to. So that looks like that's enough where this isn't going to move. We back this one out a little bit more. Now what I'm trying to do is to get that bar to go in while also getting these teeth on the outside to grip into this groove here. So if I put that on there, might be a little too tight. So let's go ahead and loosen it a little bit while keeping pressure on it so we don't lose that bar location. All right. Now if you look in here, it's kind of hard to see, but the bar has seated into that groove we were talking about before, and both the teeth are over the outside rail for this weapon. So if I tighten this down, it'll hold everything in place. Now this is pushed out a little bit more, so it kind of looks a little weird from this angle, but everything will be held into place perfectly secure. So let's go ahead and lock this down while I'm holding it. We'll tighten it in, and that's all that you need for the installation. Figure out where you want it, tighten all this up. This little horseshoe shape goes perfectly over my trigger guard, so it's nice and close to the trigger if I'm going to be turning this on or off when I'm shooting. So that's perfect. This is locked into place. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. Alright, so to connect this with the other Mantis, it does have a button on the other side of it, on the underside of it, that you can press and hold, and then this light will flash, and then you'll be able to connect it. With the Steiner, the Torx X, it's very similar. You get your phone out, download the Mantis app, press connect, it'll be scanning. While it's scanning, you want to push down both pads at the same time and hold, and you'll see this light start to blink blue. Once that does, it is scanning. You can see that that's connected. You have Steiner there, and then here's all your apps and shooting that you can do on the Mantis app. So there's also a second button here. If your laser is on, this will be red. So right now, laser is on. If you press it again, that'll be off. So you're looking for that blue one. Just press and hold both of them briefly, and it'll connect to your app. So let's quit talking and get to shooting. All right, so like I said, it's really raining outside, and I don't want to be outside, but I really want to shoot. My dad feels the same way. That's why we're inside in his basement here. We got the Mantis set up here. We do have a target on the wall over there. That is from the Mantis Laser Academy, which I've done a video on as well. That'll change your shooting game, I mean, in less than a week's time. So I'll have a longer video of that coming out shortly. But just for a little bit of a visual, we wanted to have something where we could point and aim at something. So typically when you use the Mantis in general, you want to find something, either a light switch, something in your house that you're aiming at, a screw on the wall, maybe a piece of tape or something like that, that you can aim at to hold everything steady and have a good idea of what you're aiming at. So the Mantis is very smart that when you start to shoot, that it's going to understand that you're ready, and it's going to understand your trigger pull, and it's going to see where you shot and give you a record and kind of a breakdown and a score, if you will, of how well you shot. So this here has a ton of different options on it. It's got endurance, it's got time shooting, primary hand, support hand, all that, and it all gets tracked separately, which is really cool. So if you wanted to practice on one thing or the other, you could. This is the same exact Mantis program with the original Mantis, but as I said, it's integrated into the Torx X. So we're going to go ahead and just for some fun, we're going to go ahead and just do open training. So when we click on that, double check, very safe, double check that your chamber, all magazines, make sure they are unloaded and practicing in a safe environment. So this is empty here. Go ahead and show you that the chamber itself is empty. And when you are doing this type of thing, you don't want to be doing it in an area where if a mistake was to happen that somebody could be injured. At the end of the day, you're using a real weapon. Mistakes happen all the time. You can find stories about them all over the place. So you do want to make sure that the weapon that you're handling is completely empty and you don't keep any ammo or the magazine for the weapon even around you. So that's what we're doing today. We are just playing with this, having fun, but at the end of the day, this is a weapon and it can cause real harm. So make sure that you're being safe with all this stuff. This is emptied, chamber's emptied. Every time that we come up, my dad and I, and we swap the gun over, we'll confirm that it's still empty, that nothing else happened with it, and continue with the training. So one more thing when you're using this is it goes by trigger pull. So you need to make sure that the trigger itself is in the loaded position. So you don't need to rack it all the way back and then forward to get that trigger to be in the loaded position. You simply have to pull it back a little bit. You'll feel the tension and then you'll hear that click. So don't worry about pulling it all the way back and forward to get every single one. I typically take it and just half cock it or just a little bit off the front and you're ready to go. So all you need to do is get that trigger engaged. So now that we're ready with that, we're gonna go ahead and confirm. Open training. It's telling you the goal of it. This is just shoot as many shots as you want. We're just, like I said, gonna have a fun little competition here. So whenever we're ready, we're gonna hit start. Again, we are going to be shooting at the target in the back. So you will see the laser, you'll be able to see what our hands are doing, stuff like that, and where we're aiming at. But again, that target is not required for the Torx X to work. That's just a visual aid for something a little bit easier to aim on. So I'm gonna call my dad up here. We're gonna go ahead and get started. And as soon as he's ready, he'll hit the start button. We'll see how he does, then we'll go from there.
Hi, so the first thing is just to turn this on. I'm gonna check the gun, it's empty. And then after that, I'm just gonna rack it like Jeffrey said, a little bit. Turn the laser on. And the thing I really like about the laser is I can get the visual immediately that when I'm pulling the trigger, sometimes it shakes a lot, sometimes it doesn't. One of my big problems is pulling down left, right? Because I'm right-handed. And so I always have to remember to try not to do that. And this laser tells me immediately if I'm pulling down and left. Like that was a bad one. How many's that?
10.
Oh, 10's good.
So there you go. What's interesting is you mentioned you were pulling down left. Go ahead and look at the instant feedback there.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Everything is shooting down left, right? I haven't shot, my excuse is probably over a month.
Yeah, well,
You know.
and that's what the Mantis is for. You get to shoot.
Yeah, so now I can use this to, it's so super easy to practice, and that's great feedback.
Instant
Great.
feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you right now, this last one here, you see it's a 93.2. Well, that is not his average overall, that's just his last shot. So his last shot was really good, but as he was shooting, you'll be able to see that it was, you know, some 60s, some 70s, some 90s, so that's every single shot. So with this, you can go into more details, and it'll show you exactly what each shot did. It'll even give you a breakdown of how you performed on each shot and how much his hand was moving. He said that he was shaking a little bit. Right here you can see on shot 10, he really did well with a 93.2. If we go to shot, let's just pick a random one. Shot 6, that's an 83. So you can see with that red line, that's how he was getting into position for the shooting. The blue was him stabilizing the shot. And then the yellow was actually the trigger pull. And then obviously the X is where the bullet would have went if this were a live round. So this gives a lot of feedback on that. You can go to the full open training score. He has a total average score of 73.5, which isn't bad. I mean, he hasn't shot in a long time. It's been pretty crappy out. So that's not terrible, and it gives you a breakdown of every single shot. So in the beginning, you can see shot 1 and 2. He had a 48 and a 47. So he just had the gun. He's getting into it. He's trying to, you know, remember all the fundamentals of shooting. Shooting's not easy. Anybody watching this channel can attest to that. It's not an easy thing to do. But those 40s right off the bat, after that, it was 80, 84, 76, 83, and then the last one being a 93. So he did pretty well with it. We're going to go ahead and hit stop on that. That's the training, gives your average score. Total time, so you can do time trials with this and see how quick you can do 10 shots and really push yourself to that limit. So let's go ahead and hit done on that. Now we're going to go back and I'm going to try it out. So we're in open training, the same thing. Again, a lot of people might say, you know, oh, you're only standing 8 feet from the wall or something like that. The distance does not matter. So this target could be 300 yards out, it doesn't matter. So the Mantis is just tracking what the gun itself is doing. Again, this target on the wall is simply a visual. So having the laser on it, like I said, with this Torx X is really nice to have a visual. But at the end of the day, the distance that we're shooting does not matter, which is another reason I really love Mantis, is that you can do it if you're sitting in your bedroom on your bed, you can shoot at the wall. Not literally, but you can shoot at the wall with the Mantis, and it'll give you instant feedback. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. It is still open, checked empty, no mag. We're good to go on that. I'm gonna hit start, and it's ready to go. So I'm gonna take 10 shots, and we'll see how we do. I'm gonna stay in the same spot he was. That bad, huh? So I can see with this laser, it feels like I'm pushing a little bit right. And I can see that I'm shaking too, so maybe loosen up the grip a little bit. On my trigger pull, I can tell that I'm off a little bit. But it is that instant feedback with the laser, which is fantastic. How many is that? Let's see. So there we go. This was more of a instant feedback. That was 14 shots, so I went through them a little quicker. But we can go ahead and take a look at these now. So these were the scores here. You had a 94. Started off with a 6.9. What happened there? Yeah, well, this must be the app. There's no way I did that bad, right? So you can go through all these and see. What I like to look at is some of your bad ones and some of your good ones. So my average score was an 86.8. So let's go ahead and look at this. Let's look at this 87 one here. So you can see I was all over the place with the aiming. And then the actual trigger pull jerked, like I said, to the right, which wasn't very good. So I can focus more on going up and being more centered on my shot instead of drifting all around like I did that you can see here. So let's go to shot 8. That one's a lot better. Well, that was a 97.8. So clearly this one was better. You can see how I trailed down to the bullseye and was just kind of focusing on that target, pulled the trigger, and got a good score. So there you have it, the Mantis Torx X. I absolutely love it. I love that it has a laser on it and that I can have an attachment to use on everyday range activities, or I can use it for training inside the house. It's really, really nice to have. I absolutely love that I can just keep it on my gun and it has multiple purposes. So if you liked the video, please leave a like, leave a comment down below and let me know, do you have the Torx X? Do you have any Mantis training accessories at all? Or do you only have the Torx X? Do you only have the Mantis and you're thinking about upgrading? Check those links down below. I do have a discount code for you. Make sure you pick one up. And if you do, let me know how you like it. Make sure you're subscribed for more follow-up videos. And as always, be safe. I'll see you in the next one.